When I found out my husband had been having an affair for 3 years, I didn't scream. I didn't throw anything. I didn't even cry at first. I just stood in my kitchen in our house in Naperville, Illinois, staring at the refrigerator like it had personally betrayed me. The ice maker kept dropping cubes into the tray, that stupid mechanical clatter echoing through the silence. It felt obscene, like the universe was just going to keep functioning normally while my entire life cracked open. I'm Claire. I'm 38 years old. I've been married to Ethan for 12 years. We have one daughter, Lily, who just turned 9. We have a golden retriever named Scout, a joint Costco membership, and a mortgage that once felt like a symbol of stability. For years, I would have told anyone we were solid. Not perfect, but solid. Ethan worked in commercial real estate in downtown Chicago. I ran marketing for a regional healthcare company, mostly remote since 2020. We had busy lives, shared calendars, date nights we sometimes canceled, fights about dishes and screen time and in-laws, normal stuff. I thought we were normal. The first crack wasn't dramatic. It was a text message. It was a Tuesday night in late October. Ethan was in the shower upstairs. His phone buzzed on the kitchen counter while I was loading the dishwasher. I wasn't snooping. I swear to God, I wasn't. The screen lit up and I saw a name I didn't recognize. Maya. The message preview read, "I miss you already." That was it. 5 words. Not explicit, not proof, but wrong. I remember wiping my hands on a dish towel and just staring at it. I told myself it was probably a coworker. Maybe someone new on his team. Maybe they had a long meeting. Maybe she was dramatic. Maybe she texted everyone like that. My heart didn't believe any of it. The phone buzzed again. I hate that we have to pretend. My stomach dropped so hard I had to grab the counter. The kitchen lights felt too bright. My ears started ringing. I could hear the shower shut off upstairs. I had maybe 30 seconds before he walked in. I picked up his phone. I had never gone through his phone before, not once in 12 years. I knew his passcode because it was Lily's birthday. That should have been sweet. It wasn't. I unlocked it. My hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped it. I opened the thread. There were hundreds of messages, not just flirty ones, not just emotional ones, plans, photos, hotel confirmations, inside jokes I didn't understand, complaints about the routine at home, references to 3 years of this. 3 years. 3 years. I read that phrase over and over again like it might rearrange itself into something less devastating. 3 months would have hurt, 6 months would have shattered me, but 3 years? 3 years meant birthdays, anniversaries, Christmas mornings, family vacations to Door County, my dad's funeral, Lily losing her first tooth, all of it. He had been living 2 lives. I heard his footsteps on the stairs and I put the phone back exactly where it had been. I don't know how I managed that. Survival mode, I guess. My face must have looked normal enough because when he walked in, towel around his neck, hair still damp, he smiled at me like he always did. "What's for dinner?" he asked. That question will haunt me for the rest of my life. I looked at him and tried to see the man I married, the guy who used to drive 3 hours just to have lunch with me when we were dating, the one who cried when Lily was born, the one who held my hand during my dad's chemo appointments. Instead, all I could see was a stranger who had perfected lying. "Chicken," I said. My voice sounded distant, even to me. He walked over and kissed the top of my head. "Smells good." I almost flinched. Dinner was excruciating. Lily was talking about a book report, and Ethan was nodding, asking questions, laughing. He reached for my hand under the table at one point. I let him hold it. I wanted to see if I could feel anything. Love, rage, revulsion. Mostly, I felt numb. That night, I didn't confront him. I lay next to him in bed, staring at the ceiling fan spinning slowly in the dark. His breathing was steady, peaceful. I wondered if he dreamed about her. Maya. I didn't sleep. Instead, I replayed the last 3 years in my head like surveillance footage. 3 years ago was when he started traveling more. Client dinners, late closings. Market's crazy right now. I had been proud of him. He was climbing, providing, building our future. 3 years ago was also when I started feeling lonely. I blamed myself for that part. I had been stressed at work. My dad had just gotten sick. Lily was starting kindergarten. I gained 15 pounds and stopped buying new clothes. I was tired all the time. Maybe I had pulled away first. That's how the mind works when it's trying to survive something unbearable. It starts looking for ways to make it your fault. The next morning, I kissed him goodbye like I always did. I watched him back out of the driveway in his gray Audi. I waved. Lily waved. He waved back. Then I went inside, locked the door, and threw up in the kitchen sink. I spent that entire day on autopilot, answering emails, scheduling meetings, making sure Lily got to school and back. I kept seeing those messages in my head. I miss you already. I hate that we have to pretend. 3 years of pretending. Around noon, I did something I'm not proud of but also don't regret. I logged into our shared cell phone account online and pulled the detailed records. I found her number easily. It showed up constantly. Calls during lunch hours. Late night texts. Weekends he claimed he was golfing. I googled the number. Maya Thompson. Her LinkedIn popped up first. 34. Senior leasing manager at a competing real estate firm in Chicago. Dark hair. Perfect teeth. That kind of effortless beauty that looks like she wakes up with lip gloss on. I stared at her photo until my vision blurred. I wanted to hate her more than him. It would have been easier. But the truth was, he made vows to me, not her. By the time Ethan came home that evening, I had a plan. Not a screaming match, not a dramatic ultimatum. A plan. I met him at the door. "We need to talk," I said. He froze for a split second. Just a flicker. But I saw it. That tiny flash of panic before his face rearranged itself into concern. "Okay," he said slowly. "What's going on?" I didn't drag it out. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. "Who's Maya?" The color drained from his face so fast it was almost fascinating. He opened his mouth, closed it, tried again. "What?" "Don't," I said quietly. "Don't insult me." Silence filled the foyer. Lily was upstairs in her room. The house felt like it was holding its breath. He ran a hand through his hair. "Claire." "How long?" I asked. He didn't answer. "How long, Ethan?" He swallowed. His eyes darted towards the staircase like he was calculating whether to lie. "About 3 years," he said finally. Hearing it out loud was different. Text on a screen can still feel abstract. But when your husband says it, standing 5 feet away from you, in the house you picked out together, it's surgical. "Are you in love with her?" I asked. Another pause. Longer this time. "I care about her," he said carefully. I laughed. I couldn't help it. It came out sharp and ugly. "Do you hear yourself?" He started talking then, fast, defensive. "It just happened." We were working on a deal together. It wasn't supposed to turn into anything serious. You and I were in a rough place. You were distant, we barely touched. I felt like I was just existing here. There it was. My fault. I felt something inside me snap, but not in a dramatic way, more like a thread quietly breaking. "So you decided to build a whole other relationship?" I asked. "It wasn't like that," he insisted. "I never meant to hurt you. I love you. I love Lily. I was going to end it." "When?" He didn't answer. That was answer enough. I looked at him for a long time. 12 years of memories standing in front of me, wrapped in a man who had lied to my face every single day. "Does she know about me?" I asked. "Yes." "Does she know you're not leaving?" He hesitated. That's when I understood something crucial. He hadn't chosen me. He had just never made a final decision. I nodded slowly. "Okay." He blinked. "Okay." "Yeah," I said. "Okay." I walked past him into the living room and sat down on the couch. My heart was racing, but my voice stayed calm. "You have exactly 1 week," I said. "In 1 week, you are going to tell her it's over. Completely. In front of me." His eyebrows shot up. "What?" "You heard me. You call her, you put it on speaker, and you end it. Or I file for divorce." He stared at me like he was seeing a different woman. "I need time," he said. "You've had 3 years." The air between us felt electric. For the first time since I found out, I wasn't numb anymore. I was awake. And if he thought I was just going to cry and beg and try to fix something he had already destroyed, he was about to learn exactly who he'd underestimated. The week I gave him felt like living inside a pressure cooker. Every morning, Ethan left for work like nothing had changed. He'd grab his travel mug, kiss Lily on the forehead, and glance at me with this unreadable expression, like he was trying to figure out which version of me he was going to get that day. The hysterical one? The cold one? The forgiving one? What he didn't realize was that I wasn't any of those. I was calculating. He slept in the guest room that entire week. That was my decision. I told Lily he had a big project and needed quiet. She accepted it the way kids accept most things, without realizing their world is quietly shifting under their feet. At night, I'd lie in our bed alone, staring at the ceiling, replaying everything he'd said. I care about her. Not I love her. Not it's over. Not I choose you. Just, I care about her. That phrase sat in my chest like a weight. I watched him carefully that week. Not in a jealous, frantic way, in a detached, almost clinical way. He checked his phone less around me, but I could see the tension in his jaw every time it buzzed. He'd step outside to take calls. He'd come back inside looking like he'd just run a mile. On Thursday night, I was in the laundry room folding towels when I heard him in the kitchen. His voice was low, urgent. "I told you I need a few days," he said. "I can't just, no, I know. I didn't have to hear the other side to know it was her. I stepped into the hallway quietly and listened. "Claire knows," he said. "Yeah, she knows everything." There was a long pause. "No, I'm not staying because I'm scared," he snapped. "It's complicated." Complicated. That word made my blood run cold. Because to me, it wasn't complicated. It was simple. You either stay married or you don't. You either respect your wife or you don't. You either blow up your family or you don't. Complicated was what cowards said when they didn't want to choose. He hung up and stood there for a moment, staring at the wall. I stepped back into the laundry room before he saw me. That night, I opened my laptop and did something I should have done years ago. I logged into our bank accounts. What I found made my hands shake. Hotel charges. Not cheap ones. Downtown Chicago, boutique places, weekends at the Roby, the Thompson Hotel, wine bars, steakhouse dinners, a trip to Miami that he told me was a real estate conference. I pulled up the dates. That Miami trip? It was the same week Lily had the flu. I had slept on the floor next to her bed because she kept waking up crying. He'd been on South Beach. I sat there in the glow of my screen, feeling something inside me harden into steel. It wasn't just sex. It wasn't just feelings. It was money. Our money. Our daughter's college fund money. The life we were building. He hadn't just cheated. He'd invested in her. On Friday afternoon, I called a divorce attorney in downtown Naperville. I didn't tell Ethan. I didn't threaten. I just scheduled a consultation for Monday morning. The woman I met with, Sandra, was sharp and calm and efficient. She wore a navy blazer and had the kind of eyes that missed nothing. "How long has the affair been going on?" I said. 3 years. She didn't react. Just made a note. "Do you have proof?" "Yes." "Good. Illinois is a no-fault state, but documentation still matters when we're discussing asset division and custody." Hearing the word custody made my chest tighten. "I don't want to take Lily away from her dad," I said quickly. "You don't have to," Sandra replied. "But you also don't have to protect him." That sentence stayed with me. I went home and acted like nothing had changed. Sunday night arrived faster than I expected. That was the deadline I'd given him. He stood in the living room pacing, his phone in his hand. Lily was at a sleepover. The house felt eerily quiet. Are you really going to make me do this with you listening? He asked. Yes. This feels manipulative. I almost laughed. Manipulative? I said softly. 3 years, Ethan. You don't get to talk to me about manipulation. He exhaled sharply, then scrolled through his contacts. His thumb hovered over her name. For a split second, I wondered if he wouldn't do it. If he'd look at me and say he was choosing her. I braced myself for that possibility. He hit call. It rang twice. Hey, she answered. Her voice was light, familiar. I felt like I was intruding on something intimate and disgusting at the same time. Hey, he said. His voice was tight. I can't talk long. A pause. What's wrong? I told you Claire knows. I know, she said. So. I watched his face carefully. So, this has to end, he said. Silence. What do you mean? Her tone shifted instantly. I mean, I can't do this anymore. I'm staying with my family. Another pause. Longer this time. You told me you were leaving, she said quietly. My stomach flipped. He glanced at me, then looked away. I thought I was, he said. But I'm not. There was something in his voice I couldn't quite read. Regret? Relief? Fear? You're choosing her? She asked. I'm choosing my daughter, he said. That hurt more than if he'd said my name. I crossed my arms over my chest, holding myself together. You said you loved me, Maya whispered. I care about you, he said. The same phrase. Care. It sounded so thin now. She let out a shaky breath. 3 years, Ethan. I know. Was any of it real? He didn't answer right away. It was, he said finally. But it's over. She hung up without another word. The silence in the living room afterward felt massive. He lowered the phone slowly, like it weighed 100 pounds. It's done, he said. I studied him. He looked pale, drained. You sound heartbroken, I said. He looked up at me sharply.
This isn't easy, I nodded. I'm sure it's not. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Is that enough? He asked quietly. That question was almost funny. He thought this was about the phone call. No, I said. His face fell. What do you mean? I mean, that was step 1. He frowned. Step 1 of what? Of figuring out whether I even want to stay married to you. It was like the ground shifted under him. You said if I ended it. I said I'd file for divorce if you didn't, I interrupted. I never said I'd forgive you. He stared at me like that possibility had never occurred to him. You can't just, Claire, I did what you asked. You did the bare minimum, I said evenly. You ended something that never should have existed. He ran both hands through his hair, frustration rising. What do you want from me? The truth rose up before I could stop it. I want the last 3 years back. He went quiet. I want to not feel stupid every time I think about our anniversary dinners while you were texting her under the table, I continued. I want to not picture you with her every time you touch me. I want to not wonder if you were with her the week my dad died. He flinched at that. I wasn't, he said quickly. I held his gaze. But you could have been. That was the problem, the doubt. The erosion of trust so complete it felt like rot. He stepped closer to me, his voice softer now. I'll do anything. Therapy, transparency, whatever you need. Anything. The word echoed in my head. I believed he meant it in that moment. I think he was scared enough to mean it. But here's the thing he still didn't understand. This wasn't about punishment. It was about dignity. I had spent 12 years building a life with this man. I had defended him, loved him, supported him, trusted him blindly. And he had built a second life right next to mine. Standing there in our living room, I realized something with startling clarity. I didn't want to compete for my own husband. I didn't want to beg for scraps of loyalty. and I definitely didn't want to stay just because he finally panicked. I need time. He nodded quickly. Take it. I'm not going anywhere. That statement hung in the air between us. Not going anywhere. For the first time since I found out, I looked at him and didn't see the man I married. I saw a man who had gambled everything and only folded when he was cornered. And I started to wonder if the most satisfying goodbye wouldn't be immediate at all. Maybe it would be slow. Maybe it would be quiet. Maybe it would be so carefully constructed that he wouldn't even see it forming around him. The strangest part about betrayal is how normal everything looks on the outside. The week after he ended it with Maya, Ethan tried to transform into the perfect husband. He came home early, he cooked dinner twice, he offered to drive Lily to school, he left his phone face up on the counter like some kind of peace offering. He even scheduled a couples therapy appointment without me asking. If you'd walked into her house, you would have thought we were a family working through a rough patch. You wouldn't have seen the fault line running straight down the middle of everything. I went to therapy with him that first Thursday night. The office was in downtown Naperville, soft lighting, abstract art on the walls, that faint lavender scent that's supposed to calm you down. We sat side by side on the beige couch, but it felt like we were miles apart. The therapist, a woman in her early 50s named Karen, asked us why we were there. Ethan spoke first. I had an affair, he said, his voice heavy. It lasted 3 years. I ended it last week. I want to save my marriage. Save. Like this was a house fire we could just spray down and rebuild. Karen looked at me. Claire. I felt every word before I said it. I don't know if I want to save it, I replied. Ethan stiffened next to me. Over the next hour, he apologized. He blamed stress. He blamed disconnection. He said he felt invisible. He said he didn't know how it went so far. He said he never stopped loving me. I listened. When it was my turn, I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just described what it felt like to find out your husband has a second life. It feels like someone swapped out your reality for a fake one, I said. Like every memory from the last 3 years is contaminated. Karen nodded slowly. Do you believe he's remorseful? She asked me. I thought about it. Yes, I said finally. I think he's scared. Ethan looked at me sharply. And that's not the same thing. I added. That night, lying in bed alone, I realized something had shifted in me permanently. I wasn't operating from emotion anymore. I was operating from clarity. I started making quiet moves. First, I opened a separate checking account in my name only. I didn't drain our joint account. I wasn't reckless. I just started redirecting my direct deposit there. I told myself it was precaution, not a decision. Then I met with Sandra again. We went over numbers in detail this time. Retirement accounts, the house equity, college savings, investments. She laid everything out in neat columns, like this was a business dissolution instead of the collapse of my marriage. You're in a strong position, she told me. Financially and legally. I nodded. What about emotionally? She asked. I almost laughed. Emotionally, I was building an exit ramp. At home, Ethan was trying harder than I'd ever seen him try. He deleted social media. He gave me passwords. He texted me during the day just to say he loved me. But every time my phone buzzed with his name, I felt nothing. That scared me more than anger would have. Anger means there's still heat. Still connection. This was ice. One Saturday afternoon, about a month after I found out, I decided to drive into Chicago. I told Ethan I was meeting a friend for lunch. That wasn't entirely a lie. I did meet someone. Maya. I had texted her from my own phone 2 days earlier. The message was simple. I'm Claire. We need to talk. She responded almost immediately. I was wondering when you would. We met at a coffee shop in River North. Neutral territory. Bright windows, exposed brick, people typing on laptops, pretending not to eavesdrop. When she walked in, I recognized her instantly from LinkedIn. Dark hair, tailored coat, that confident posture of someone who's used to being admired. She looked nervous. I didn't. We sat across from each other with 2 untouched coffees between us. I didn't expect you to reach out, she said first. I didn't expect you to exist, I replied calmly. She winced.
I'm not here to scream at you, I continued. I just want the truth. She studied my face like she was trying to decide how much to reveal. He told me you were basically roommates. She said carefully, that you hadn't been happy for years. Of course he did. He told me he was going to leave. She added, multiple times. There it was again. I figured. I said. She looked down at her hands. I didn't set out to break up a marriage. You stayed for 3 years. I said evenly. That's not an accident. Her jaw tightened. He said he loved me. I held her gaze. Did he? I asked. She hesitated. He said he loved both of us. In different ways. I felt a strange, detached curiosity. Did you believe he'd actually leave? At first. She admitted. Then I think I just didn't want to lose him.
For a moment, I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. Did you ever think about me? I asked. She didn't answer right away. Not really, she said quietly. He made it easy not to. That sentence was like a final confirmation of everything I already knew. He hadn't just cheated physically, he had rewritten our marriage for someone else's comfort. We sat there in silence for a few seconds. He ended it because I found out, I said, not because he chose me. She nodded slowly. I know. I stood up. I'm not here to fight you, I said. You can have him. Her eyes widened. What? I'm done competing, I replied, and for the first time since this started, I felt something close to peace. Driving back to Naperville, I rolled the windows down even though it was cold. The skyline faded in my rearview mirror, and with it, the last illusion I'd been clinging to. That night, Ethan was on the couch with Lily, helping her with math homework. He looked up when I walked in. How was lunch? He asked. Eye-opening, I said. He didn't ask for details. I watched him laugh at something Lily said, and I felt the sharpest ache in my chest. He was a good dad. That made this so much harder. Later, when Lily was asleep, I sat across from him at the kitchen table. I met her, I said. The color drained from his face. You what? I met Maya. Why would you do that? Because I wanted to see who you almost threw your family away for. His hands curled into fists. What did she say? That you told her we were basically over, I replied. That you loved her. He closed his eyes briefly. Claire? I'm not mad anymore, I interrupted. That seemed to unsettle him more than anything. I just see you clearly now. And what do you see? He asked quietly. A man who wanted 2 lives, I said, and panicked when he had to choose. He looked like I'd slapped him. I chose you, he insisted. No, I said softly. You chose comfort. Silence settled between us. I reached into my bag and slid a folder across the table. He stared at it. What's this? Divorce papers, I said. His head snapped up. What? I haven't filed yet, I continued calmly, but I will, next Friday. His breathing quickened. You said you needed time. I did, I said, and I used it. Claire, please, he whispered. I hadn't heard that tone from him in years. Raw, fractured. I'm not doing this to hurt you, I said. I'm doing it because I deserve more than being someone's backup plan. He looked like he was unraveling in real time. We can fix this, he said desperately. I'll spend the rest of my life making it up to you. I studied him for a long moment. The truth was, part of me still loved him, but love without respect feels like humiliation. I don't want you to spend the rest of your life trying to convince me you won't betray me again, I said. I want peace. He buried his face in his hands. For a split second, I almost faltered. But then I remembered the hotel charges, the Miami trip, the 3 years of lies, and I stayed steady. I'll make this as clean as possible, I said, for Lily's sake. He looked up at me, eyes red. You're really leaving? Yes, I said. What he didn't know yet was that I had already found an apartment 15 minutes away. I had already signed the lease. I had already scheduled movers for the following weekend while he was supposed to be on a mandatory work retreat. He thought I was still deciding. He had no idea the goodbye was already in motion. The week of his mandatory work retreat, I helped him pack. That's the part that still amazes me when I think about it. I folded his quarter zips. I reminded him to bring his laptop charger. I even slipped a protein bar into the side pocket of his duffel because he always forgot to eat when he was stressed. He looked at me like I was fragile glass.
"You sure you're okay?" he asked for the 10th time that morning. "I'm fine," I said, and I was. That was the difference. The panic had burned off weeks ago. The rage had dissolved into something colder and sharper. What I felt now was control. He kissed Lily goodbye in the driveway, promising to FaceTime her from the hotel. She wrapped her arms around his waist and told him not to forget her like he forgot her dance recital last spring. He laughed awkwardly. I didn't. When he pulled out of the driveway in his Audi, I stood there waving until he turned the corner. The second he was gone, I went inside and closed the door quietly behind me. I didn't cry. I called the movers. They arrived at 9 sharp. 2 guys in navy shirts with a local Naperville Moving Company logo across their chests. Efficient, friendly, oblivious to the emotional landmine they were stepping into. I had already packed most of my things in Lily's. Clothes, personal documents, photo albums, only the ones that mattered to me. I left the framed wedding portrait on the wall in the hallway. That felt poetic. By noon, my side of the closet was empty. The house echoed in a way it never had before. Not lonely, just different. Lily was at school. I had debated telling her before or after. In the end, I chose honesty without chaos. When I picked her up at 3, I didn't take her home. I dove her to the new apartment instead. It was in a newer complex 15 minutes away. 2 bedrooms, big windows, white walls, a little balcony that overlooked a patch of trees. Not a downgrade, not a dramatic escape. Just ours. She looked around slowly. "Are we moving?" she asked. I knelt in front of her. "Yeah, baby," I said gently. "We are. Is Dad coming?" There it was. "No," I said, "but he's still your dad. That doesn't change." Her eyes filled, but she didn't break down. She's always been strong in that quiet way. "Did you guys fight?" she asked. I swallowed. "We decided we're better parents if we live in different houses," I said carefully. It wasn't the whole truth, but it wasn't a lie either. She nodded slowly. "Can I put my posters up in here?" she asked after a moment. I smiled. "Yes, anywhere you want." That night, we ordered pizza and ate it on the floor of our half-unpacked living room. She showed me where she wanted her desk. I helped her make her bed. We FaceTimed Ethan like nothing had shifted. He was in a hotel room in downtown Chicago, beige walls behind him, tie loosened around his neck. "How's my girls?" he asked. Lily beamed at the screen, telling him about her new math test score. I stayed out of frame. He asked to talk to me after. When Lily went into her room, I picked up the phone. "Hey," he said. "It's weird here without you guys." I almost laughed at the irony. "We're not there," I said evenly. "What?" I angled the phone so he could see the unfamiliar white wall behind me. His forehead creased. "Where are you?" "At the apartment," I replied. Silence. "What apartment?" His voice shifted instantly. "The one Lily and I moved into today." I watched the realization crawl across his face in real time. "You moved?" he said, like the word didn't make sense. "Yes. You said next Friday," he stammered. "You said you hadn't filed yet." "I filed this morning," I said calmly. "The papers will be delivered to your office tomorrow." His breathing grew shallow. "You blindsided me." I held his gaze through the screen. 3 years, Ethan. He ran a hand through his hands, pacing the hotel room now. "We were in therapy. We were trying." "No," I corrected softly.
You were trying to keep me. That's not fair. Neither was building a second relationship while I was planning your birthday parties. That landed. "You didn't even let me say goodbye to the house," he said, his voice cracking. "You can go back," I replied. "It's still yours. For now." He stopped pacing. "You planned this," he whispered. "Yes. For how long?" "Long enough." The truth was, I had signed the lease 2 weeks after meeting Maya. The moment I realized I wasn't fighting for him anymore, just for my own dignity. "I thought we were fixing this," he said, and for the first time, he looked truly lost. "You were fixing your guilt," I said. "I was rebuilding my life." He sank down onto the edge of the hotel bed. "What about us?" he asked quietly. I considered the question. "There hasn't been an us for a long time," I said. "There's been you, there's been me, and there's been a lie in between." He looked like he wanted to argue, but he didn't. "I never stopped loving you," he said finally. I believed him. That was the tragedy. "I know," I replied, "but love without loyalty is just selfish." Silence filled the space between us. "I didn't see this coming," he admitted. That's when I felt it. Not revenge, not triumph, just something steady and grounding. "That's the point," I said. He let out a broken laugh that didn't hold any humor. "So this is it? This is it?" He nodded slowly, like he was finally understanding that this wasn't a threat or a tactic. This was the end. "I'm sorry," he said. "I know." We stayed on the call for another minute without speaking. Then I ended it. I didn't block him. I didn't delete his number. I didn't post anything dramatic on social media. I didn't call Maya to gloat. I just put my phone down and walked into Lily's room. She was arranging her stuffed animals on the bed. "Is Dad okay?" she asked. "He's going to be," I said. That night, After she fell asleep, I stepped out onto the balcony. The air was cool. The parking lot lights glowed softly below. Somewhere in the distance, I could hear traffic on the highway. For the first time in months, my chest felt light. I thought about the woman I was a year ago. Trusting, comfortable, certain. She had no idea what was coming. But the woman standing on that balcony, she knew exactly what she was doing. Ethan thought the affair was the secret life. It wasn't. The secret was that the moment I saw the truth, I stopped begging for scraps. And when I finally said goodbye, it wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. It was precise. He never saw it coming.